Five Nights at Freddy's 3 is usually overlooked when it comes to lore. The story is pretty cut and dry. William Afton gets spring-locked, gets sent to a horror attraction 30 years later, the attraction burns to the ground and the spirits of his victims are freed, and that's it. There's one aspect of the game that isn't very clear: the cast of characters introduced in this third installment, the Phantoms. The gameplay of FNAF 3 is pretty different from the previous two games. Instead of fending off multiple characters at once, there's only one real threat: Springtrap. But alongside him are a huge variety of phantoms that will do their best to inconvenience you and make your life difficult, but all without killing you. These guys are who I want to talk about today, because the phantoms are actually much more mysterious than we thought. So remember to subscribe, because we're about to solve what these things really are, why they look so weird, and most importantly of all, why they're trying to get you killed. Before we jump in, I think it's fitting to go over who the phantoms actually are and what role they play in their respective appearances. The Phantom Animatronics are Phantom Freddy, Phantom Chica, Phantom Foxy, Phantom BB, Phantom Mangle, and by far the most enigmatic one of them all, Phantom Puppet. Their gameplay mechanics in FNAF 3 are fairly simple. They usually appear on your screen or monitors in some way and will jump scare you if you look at them for too long or fail to switch perspectives in time. Other than that, the phantoms aren't really relevant. They're not possessed, they don't appear in any other game aside from Help Wanted, and they're just generally overlooked. They usually play second fiddle to Springtrap, who's the only real animatronic trying to hunt you down, but today I want to put them in the spotlight. But why? What makes me want to analyze them so closely? Well, it's all one thing: their designs. The phantoms are very interesting from a design standpoint. They're a sickly greenish shade with tiny pinpricks of light as eyes, but most importantly of all, they're burnt. And when I say it, I mean it. They look like they got caught in the middle of some kind of huge fire. But here's the thing: Fazbear's Fright is the first fire we know for sure happened in the timeline. So, why are these things burnt? Why are they haunting our player character? Well, theorists believe that these phantoms are being seen by Michael Afton, who's most likely the main protagonist of FNAF 3. But why is he seeing them? In MatPat's Ultimate Timeline, he says that the reason they look like this is because Michael burnt them to the ground after his shifts at the Freddy's locations. But there's a problem with this. Like I said earlier, the fire at the end of FNAF 3 is the only fire in the timeline that we're aware of apart from the one at the end of FNAF 6. So what's going on here? Well, I have an idea. The reason Michael sees them as burnt, destroyed pieces of scrap is because he's thinking about what he wants to do with Fazbear's Fright after his week's done. And those thoughts are reflecting on these hallucinations. After all, it is implied that whoever we play as in FNAF 3 was the one who set the place on fire. So that sorta covers why they look like that. But why did they appear at all? Well, the answer is really simple. Phone Dude gives us the answer to that on the very first phone call of the game.
Look, this place will give you the spooks, man, and if you let that ventilation go offline, then you'll start seeing some crazy stuff, man. Keep that air flowing.
So the reason we're seeing this stuff is because of the faulty ventilation in the place. But there's something else about the phantoms. Every single one of them is based on their original animatronics appearance in FNAF 2, except for one. Phantom Chica. She's based on the FNAF 1 version of Chica. Phantom Freddy and Foxy are both remade versions of their withered variants, and Balloon Boy, Mangle, and Puppet are all originally from FNAF 2. So why is Chica the outlier here? What makes her different from the other phantoms? At first, I genuinely had no idea, but I think I might have the solution now. In the bad ending of FNAF 3, when all the animatronics' eyes are lit up, you might notice that Chica's looks pretty different. Her eye shape is not similar to that of the other animatronics at all. So already we can tell Chica is being singled out from the others in this game. But why? What makes her so special? In Five Nights at Freddy's VR Help Wanted, the Phantom Animatronics are all present, except for two: Phantom Puppet and Phantom Chica. And in that same game, Freddy and Foxy aren't withered anymore. They take on their normal FNAF 1 appearance. What does this mean? Well, Help Wanted's entire purpose is to correct the mistakes the games made before it made. So, if Help Wanted states that the phantoms are actually based on the FNAF 1 versions of their appearances, we don't have to deal with this weird problem anymore. So, unfortunately, Phantom Chica being different isn't huge for the lore. But what I find interesting here is that these characters appear specifically as their FNAF 1 versions. I already think that the Fazbear's Fright Guard has to have gone through FNAF 1 and 2 to see these things. But now that the phantoms are divided into their respective games, it all makes much more sense. There's only one question left regarding this bit of the video. What happened to Phantom Bonnie? Why isn't he here with the rest? Well, it's simple. Yet again, just like with Chica, this isn't a part of the story, but rather a gameplay or design decision. You see, when the main antagonist of your game is an undead old withered bunny suit, it feels a bit redundant to put another undead old withered bunny suit in your game. Thus, I think the creative decision to exclude Bonnie from this game was more so to avoid confusion between him and Springtrap, but not because it's important to the story. Now, I want to tackle the really important question. Why are these things hostile? After all, they don't look like they're on the same side as Springtrap. If they're representations of the animatronics William Afton stuffed his victims into, they should be against him and actively fighting him. But they're not. That's because these phantoms are completely unrelated to the missing children incident victims. The Phantom Animatronics are almost definitely created by Springtrap. In the Fazbear Fright story, what we found, we can see a perfect example of these phantoms/hallucinations and how they interact with the real world. For a quick recap of the story, our main character is Hudson, a troubled security guard at the newly opened Fazbear's Fright. Lonely and traumatized from his experience with his abusive stepfather, he hates the new job at Fazbear Fright, but stays since the pay is good. Eventually, the team at the location bring in a fantastic new find they discovered at an old Freddy's pizzeria, a withered rabbit costume. Obviously, this is Springtrap, and Hudson finds out that Springtrap has a corpse inside of him. This is when his hallucinations begin. He starts hearing the voices of his stepfather and former math teacher, as well as invisible people throwing him around and breaking some of his bones. This should be impossible. His stepfather died in a fire at Hudson's house, a fire that Hudson started, and his teacher can't be here either. Hudson slowly starts going insane during his night shift, with a ghostly version of Chica stalking him and the voices getting stronger and stronger. Eventually, Springtrap starts moving, also aiming to hunt him down. Hudson runs away, trying to avoid him, and goes to the hall where Springtrap used to be on display. He's still there. Panicking, Hudson eventually goes into an industrial oven in one of the rooms, twisting what his grandmother, a seer, once said to him about heat and fire and their healing effects. The oven turns on, and Hudson dies inside, unable to escape. In this story, the phantoms appear very differently than in FNAF 3. They appear as Hudson's memories and past trauma, not as burnt animatronics. Sure, he hallucinates some of the animatronic parts moving, but not once is there a mention of a ghostly green burnt animatronic. These phantoms are almost definitely being created by Springtrap to mess with the guard, likely for his own enjoyment. And since Mike is likely the guard during FNAF 3, Springtrap, or William Afton, his father, knows just what he's afraid of: the animatronics. I think it's highly likely that Michael has automatonophobia, the fear of animatronics. Yes, that took me at least 6 takes. This is backed up by the Tales from the Pizzaplex story Submechanophobia, which is a twisted version of the story of FNAF 1, where the main protagonist, very obviously a Michael parallel, is afraid of underwater machines. So it makes sense for Mike to be terrified of these animatronics when he first goes to Freddy's, but feels obligated to come back to help free his brother, the crying child. If William knows about this phobia, likely caused by the bite of 83, he'll obviously play into it and make Michael terrified of the hallucinations he's seeing. Springtrap's agony and spiritual energy are so strong he's using Michael's fear against him and channeling these hallucinations into full-on nightmares. Looks like Mike just can't catch a break. Still, the explanation I brought up earlier for why they're burnt doesn't sit right with me, and neither does the explanation MatPat created, so if you have any ideas about this, please leave a comment with any theories you might have. At the beginning of the video, I brought up that Phantom Puppet was by far the most enigmatic of the bunch. Why? Well, one of the reasons is because he's the only one that only appears in FNAF 3. While the other animatronics have appearances in Ultimate Custom Night and VR Help Wanted, Phantom Puppet is exclusive to the third installment. As well as that, it looks to be some kind of decoy. You see, if you go to Cam 8 at the perfect moment, you can see the normal intact puppet levitating in the hall, but you can also see a puppet mask on the wall. This is what makes Phantom Puppet really weird. Why does it look burnt if we can see that the normal puppet is fully intact? And why are there 2 of them? Well, I think it's because Charlotte Emily, the soul-possessing puppet, is here on a mission. She's here to do the Happiest Day minigames and free the souls of the MCI kids and bite victim. As to why there's 2 masks, this points to the fact that there were 2 separate puppets at different locations, with one being possessed and the other not. Or maybe the mask is just a prop or a piece of decoration. It's not clear. I do find it weird that Phantom Puppet only appears in FNAF 3. It has by far the most annoying mechanic, blocking all your maintenance panels and screen for 15 seconds, which would make it terrifying in VR, so it's a weird choice. Maybe Phantom Puppet isn't one of William's hallucinations, but rather one of Charlotte's. After all, we know that both Afton and Charlotte possess immense spiritual and psychic powers. With that, that's about everything I've got to say about the Phantoms. Or is it? Practically everyone in the fan base, and I admit me included, hates the Phantom Animatronics. Their jump scares suck, their designs are weird, they're totally irrelevant, the list goes on. But what's my favorite Phantom? If I had to choose one, which one would it be? Well, I think the spot for best Phantom Animatronic has to go to either Phantom Freddy or Phantom Puppet. Freddy has a cool walking animation and okay jump scare, and Phantom Puppet has that air of creepiness and mystery that the others really don't have. What's your favorite Phantom? Let me know. Now, that's definitely all I have to say. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, please like and subscribe. I'm trying to hit 850 subscribers before the end of June, so your help would be highly appreciated. I'm also getting a new microphone, so this video is officially my last one with my current, very crappy, horrible audio one. Hopefully the new audio will sound way better, so I'm super excited for that. Go check out some of my other theories on screen right now, as well as my weekly live streams on Saturdays and my podcast. But most importantly, theorists, remember, keep on theorizing and never stop overthinking.